almost given up on you.
I went to Bethany yesterday.
Lazarus gave me shelter.
Peter.
Oh. Lazarus. Oh. Lucky you weren't caught there. We heard a detachment of the temple guard was sent for Lazarus.
No one came all day yesterday. But while we sat in the darkness, hiding, terrified, I kept thinking, how can it be? He brought me back from the tomb. How could he die? And then it came to me. Of course, he is not dead. He cannot be, don't you see? Here I stand alive, but I was dead for 4 days. And not only me. There was the child, the little girl, he raised her. And the young man in Nain. You all saw it. Don't you understand? He cannot be dead.
My friend, Lazarus, we saw him. We took him down from the cross. We laid him in the tomb.
But I am standing here. Don't you understand what that means?
Lazarus, he is dead. My son is dead.
Come inside. There's food.
All my life, since my father first had me sounding out the letters, holding my finger in his on the scroll, my mind, I used it as a tool, as a weapon against fear and confusion. I studied, I read, I prayed, and then I met the one who made everything that I have locked into my mind true. Living in himself, he was the truth that I've been pursuing through all my studies, through my prayers. And if that were not enough, when I slipped into that darkness, when I felt life breathe out of me, in that darkness I heard his voice again. The voice of a friend that I loved, of a teacher that I followed. But more, the voice beyond the voice said, Lazarus, come forth. Now there is nothing but confusion.
Peter, I thank God for your safety.
Judas is dead. He hanged himself outside the city. They found him at the first watch.
Good. He was a betrayer. It's because of him that
My son had great love for Judas.
he was a betrayer. Peter.
What was it like before he called you back?
What was it like to be dead? I don't remember. All I remember is the moment of being alive again. It was as if all the power of the universe were exploding in me. And in its center, his voice. He cannot be dead.
Lazarus, he's gone.
But if he isn't, if he lives, the kingdom would be upon us. Righteousness and justice would descend from the highest heaven. Peace would displace war. And men and God would be friends. It all seemed to be coming true while he was alive.
But he is dead, and the kingdom died with him. And after the feast, we went to the Mount of Olives, and he told us to pray, and he went off with James and Peter and John. And we were tired from the wine at supper, and we fell asleep. And the next thing, the guards were upon us, Judas leading the way. And we panicked. We ran. All of us. Except my brother. He just stood his ground, struck out with a sword. While the rest of us were running like frightened dogs. He stood there, swinging a sword, roaring like a lion.
No, I'm no better than the rest of you. Worse. I made my proud speeches at supper. Even if everyone else deserts you, Master, I'll stand by you. I'll die with you. And for a moment there on the hill, I believed it, swinging that sword. I hit someone. Felt my blade ring against bone. And it was as if I woke up from a dream. And there were so many of them with torches and swords. I ran. After all the big words, I ran.
We all ran, Peter. It wasn't just you. We all deserted him.
But in the courtyard at the high priest's palace, after you went in, John, I was standing there warming my hands at the fire, wondering what they were doing. A little serving girl came up to me. She couldn't have been more than 12 years old. She looked right at me and she said, "Aren't you one of his followers? I've seen you with him." And it was as if every eye in the crowd was on me, watching me, waiting for my answer. And I said, "No, I don't know the man." I denied him. And before I could get away, somebody else said he thought he recognized my accent, and if I was a Galilean, that I must be one of his followers. And I said it again, that I don't know who he is. But they wouldn't leave me alone. They kept asking me, saying they'd seen me with him in the temple. And I was afraid. So I cursed. I called down the wrath of heaven on me if I had ever known him. And I cursed him, too. And now, I'll never have a chance to tell him how. I wish I could have died before I ever said those words.
You were his friends. You were all his friends.
Mary, I loved him so much. I know. But you dishonor him if you let your pain drive you to hate. When they were driving the nails into his wrists, at that very moment, you heard him say, "Father, forgive them, they don't know what they're doing." We must start to forgive, to love the way he loved, without hesitation, without demand. Or we kill him again in our own hearts.